What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the madness. Today we're going to be doing another After Effects tutorial, and today we're talking about the PLEX delay. I really like this block. It's pretty complex, you know, plex, pun intended. But either way, it's got the modulation, it's got pitch bending, it's got ducking, it's got all sorts of mixing parameters, and you've got modifiers on all the right pieces. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing, show you what it's all about. Swoosh. All right, guys, here we are. I'm on the bottom right this time, switching it up on you. Got the notes on the top right, and then Axe Edit right here in the middle. And we're talking about the PLEX delay, like I said. Now, I go into types. There's a bunch of different types, a bunch of interesting presets. Now, I'm going to go to the PLEX delay and then the detune in order to show you the pitch section. But I'm going to use delay in order to kind of show you what I'm talking about with the basic tab and the time tab, because those stay, you know, the same throughout. Either way, we've got the number of delays up front, and I'm going to change the mix. It was originally at 10% up to 50%, so it's much more obvious what this effect is actually doing. And I'm also going to remove reverb and anything else in the way after they get the drive and the amp and the cab in order to maintain a relatively, you know, effect-ridden signal. So here we go. Try it out with just 4. Number of delays is 4. Change it to 6. You can hear the number of delays really kind of makes it more rich and robust. Check out 8. Sounds really good. So let's go ahead and change this back to 6 just to keep it moderate. Now we're at Decay Time. Now this is basically how long do you want your delays to last, you know, while maintaining a relative amount of feedback inside here. So you'll see. The whole point of this, I'll read this verbatim. The PLEX delay block uses a feedback matrix in which each of the multiple delay lines is fed back to itself and all others. So if you've got 8 delay lines, you know, doof, 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 down, you've got 1, and they're all the output of that one is being fed back into all of the other delay lines. So it's not just, you know, feedback to itself. This one feeds back to itself. No, it's all of these are all feedbacking into all of them, which is why it creates such a crazy complex sound. You can really create soundscapes with this thing. So let's keep on moving on, because I don't want to really change that too much, because the longer you get, like it says right here in the delay times, it eventually can become unstable. So the longer the decay time, these things are all feedbacking into itself. You could really create way too much sound pretty easily if you increase this up. I'll show you what I'm talking about right now, though, just because you can get to 60 seconds. And it'll just get louder and louder and louder and louder eventually. Don't really want to do that, so I'm going to keep it at 5. Diffusion. This sets the level of cross feedback in the delay matrix, contributing to density and smoothness. Now, this is basically how much of the feedback that you're putting through all the others is actually contributing to all the others. So if you want the diffusion up to 100, what this is going to do is just basically set all of the decay into all of the feedbacks. So if you reduce this to, say, 0%, increase it to, you know, just to see what it sounds like. A little bit richer, smoother. To 70. Even smoother. You're hearing like how it kind of ebbs and flows. Go back to 0. You hear how it's kind of like more like a quicker sort of rate. It feels faster paced and maybe a little bit more rigid in that way. And this where it's like it's just smooth. So that's what's going on here. I kind of liked it around 60%. So I'm going to leave it there. Now we've got the tone portion of the basic tab. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be a pretty long one, you know, so if you want to take breaks, whatever floats your boat, but get through it, because this thing is really kind of powerful. It could really take your playing sound up to the next level. You'll get tones out of this that you probably can't get out of any other block, simply because of the ease at which you can collect all of these different types of modifications in one spot. It's a long one. Continuing on, we got the pre-delay, 0.0 milliseconds right now. So what this means is how long does it wait until it starts actually producing the effect. So if we say 250 milliseconds, which is a quarter of a second, before you hear anything, look, that's what it is. Now if I have 0, you're going to hear it immediately. Now if I do it about, what, 125? That's the whole point. Let's get it back to 0 just because. Low cuts and high cuts, they're filters. If you want more about filters, really, you should go and listen to my filter kind of tutorial. It's got a lot more, and it goes way more in depth. But either way, this is just basically cutting off part of the signal at a low port or at a high cut. That's all I can really give you, but I'll show you what it sounds like. So now when you're reducing this high cut, you can kind of tell that less highs are coming through. A high cut. Sounds pretty nice. So we bring it back up. Now if we do a low cut, bring it up. Now you bring this all the way up, now you've got like very high pitch signal. Here all the delays now are very high in frequency. Bring this low cut down, now you get more bass in there. That's what's going on there. So we got the master, time, level, and pan. Now what this is doing is it's basically a multiplier of whatever the delay time is in here. So 100% means you're getting all of the delay time, or you can fold it back, you know, so where each of these is multiplied by 0.1. So instead of 50 milliseconds here, you end up with, or 500 milliseconds here, you get 50 milliseconds out. So you can check that out. Let's go and reduce this down to 10%, like I just said, which means all of these now are at 1/10 the value. So 50, 25, 37.5, so on. That sounds pretty nuts, right? It's like a big swell right up front. Sounds wicked cool. All right, so let's keep on going. And then you can see with this one, the level, that's pretty obvious what that'll do. Reduces the volume. And then the pan, which is probably the most interesting of the three. We can read that right from here, which is the pan. Scales all pan values. So we've got pan down here, and then it scales those. So you can imagine like it kind of provides more or less width depending on if these are set. Up to 200%. So let's try that out. I'll show you what I mean. So pans are set to 100 right now. Let's drop it. Zero. Pure mono. Negative 200. Negative 100. That means like the speaker swapped. Listen. The guitar parts that are kind of going through stereo right now, they're swapping when you change that pan from 100 to negative 100 and vice versa. All right, so now we've got the input diffusion, which is mix 50%, time 50%. I'll just show you what it sounds like. cool. Time. All right, so that's that. Now we get to the mix portion over here, where you can kind of control input gain, mix level, balance, stereo spread. This one's pretty cool. Check this out. Changes just the way it comes at you. It's kind of like messing with this pan knob a little bit. So now you look at that and what that did to you, right? All right. So now we've got this part right down here, stereo spread, and it happens to have a modifier on it. Something's got to be pretty important to slap a modifier on it, right? So let's go ahead and try that. Let's go put this down here. And you know what? Right now it's set to 100%. So let's try to figure out where 100% is, right? 100%. Let's reverse this a little bit, as opposed to what I did the last time. Set the ending right here. So in another video, I made the curve look like this. This time, I'm giving the exact opposite. Let's see what happens, right? It's automatically starting at 189 right now. So in that respect, I think I'll drop this down a little bit until it's at almost 100%. Let's just get it down a little bit further. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for, huh? That's fine. Let's just do that. Really cool. Really cool. Let's take that off for now. So now you can kind of see an idea of what you can do with these. There's a lot of modifiers here, guys. So there's not much to get bored with. So let's go on to the time tab. Keep this block going. So this is basically controlling the delay lines right here. So if you've got 6, which we do right now, the first 6 are really what matter. So you can change all of these and make them different times. So if you want to check it out, just go ahead and go 1/64th on this one. Back to 1/4. You can tinker with those all day if you want. So level pan, we got the levels of all 8 delay lines and the pan of all 8 delay lines. So in this one, we've got the first 6 that really matter, and then it's going 25, 25, and it's kind of just like kind of splitting the sound up. We got the modulation, and this is the rate of the modulator, the tempo, which is tied together, and then the depth, which of course defines how deep those modulations are really going to travel. So we can check that out. Right now it's set to 0.5 hertz. Change the depth way up. It's going to sound chorusy. That kind of alien sort of weirdness. So as you can see, it's pretty, sounds pretty nice around 15%, I think. And then the input envelope. So what this means, right now the threshold is off, so it's not really doing anything. So what you can do here is change this to around -70 dB, change the release up to about 10 milliseconds, drop this down to like 450. Which means basically what this is doing is taking your input signal, and then depending on how large or small the signal is, it's going to let this envelope actually occur. So the effect isn't in effect until you reach -71.4 dB. So if I have something really, really quiet, it's not going to pick up like noise and garbled stuff you don't really want. So now we've got a ducker, which is basically another way of kind of, affecting how much the effect occurs. So if you have a, threshold, a really small threshold, per se, you want to know when you're playing. And then you want the attenuation to be pretty high on this input signal. So let's just try it out. What this is going to do is it's going to reduce the effect while I'm playing. See, as soon as I stopped playing, the effect came right back in. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's get this back to normal. Don't really need a ducker right now. In fact, I don't really want this input envelope right now, just because I'm trying to show you what's going on here. The filter, once again, that filter video is going to help you if you really don't know what's going on here, but I'll give you a brief overview. So we've got a bunch of different types of filters here. Tilt EQs, peakings. This is all changing the frequency content within your signal. So right now it's set to null, which means that they want that frequency chunk to be just rid of it. And the Q is defining how wide, how far away from that frequency this kind of filtering occurs. And the frequency here is where in your signal is that frequency coming out or being amplified or whatever it is this type kind of dictates. So you can kind of tinker with that as you want. The gain of this is going to be changing depending. If you have like a high pass or a low pass, the gain is going to shift that curve up or down. And so, depending on what you're really going for. Filters are a really seriously complex subject. I'm happy to give you more, I'm happy to give you more, but, for time's sake, the filter video is good for you. All right, so then we got modulation frequency, because you've got an LFO and a modulator attached to the filter. Jesus Christ. How much more do we need? So if we want this frequency sweeping to occur like once per second, modulation frequency around like, let's say 650, so mids. All right. All right, now I've shown you all the main tabs in the PLEX delay. Let's go over to the PLEX detune, and a whole other tab becomes available, the pitch tab. So now you can detune each of these delay lines. What does that mean for you? What does that mean? Let's just go ahead and just do something silly. -40, -20, whoops, -20. Let's go to -10, 0, 10, whoops, 10, 20. Let's go to 30 and then do 40. You hear how detuned all the delays are? Just makes it sound kind of haunting in a way. Let's go ahead and get this thing back to where it normally wants to be. Now slight detunes here. And that is it, guys. That is the entirety of all of the things you can tinker with on the PLEX delay. I hope you got something out of this. If you got something out of this, slap the like and subscribe. It really helps me develop this channel so I can give you content that you are looking forward to. Well, really appreciate you guys stopping in, but until the next time, I'll catch you on the flippy floppy, y'all. Ciao.